Hello, mateys. The Kraken belongs in that pantheon of biggest boy monsters of the D&D monster community. It's up there with Tiamat, the Tarrasque, and I don't know, whatever this Hercules-looking thing is. A Kraken is supposed to literally be the climax of your campaign. This thing that is so powerful that you can only hope to survive a fight against it and maybe win at the very high levels of D&D. They're sold as your ticket to a big finale. So why are they not really that good at doing that? Well, that's why I chose the Kraken as my topic for my Kraken Week video in this very special edition of D&D with a twist, Kraken Week edition. So you might be wondering, what did you do now, Hat? And you'd be right to do so, because I've been busy scheming. What even is a Kraken Week? Well, apparently the largest event in the TTRPG scene ever. I love the TTRPG community on YouTube, but I felt like it would be really fun if we had, you know, actual community things to do. And you know what is a community thing that we can all band together around? Events! And that's how the idea of Kraken Week came to be. Kraken Week is a community event thing that Ginny and I came up with and organized and are running, and I did a lot to make it happen, so I'm really hoping it's a success and you guys like it. For the first week of July, a bunch of D&D YouTubers you know and love are gonna make underwater themed videos for Kraken Week. It's sort of a play on Shark Week, except the theme is not just krakens or sharks, but underwater. Anything related with water. Expect a bunch of creators to participate. I'm gonna make a playlist and I'll leave it down below in the description of this video so you can have a Kraken Week marathon. Imagine setting up like a little what's together with your friends, make some shrimp scampi, I don't know, whatever. I think it'd be fun. Anyway, you're watching mine now, Krakens. So what are we gonna do for this Kraken Week video on Krakens? Well, that's it, I'm dropping the stick. To celebrate this event me and Ginny have put so much effort into, I'm doing another full adventure for free about the Kraken to solve my problems with it and monsters like it. Yes, for 100% certified Pointy hat free. I keep putting myself through this and it kills me every time. I did it once for the Feywild, but I really want Kraken Week to be exciting for y'all and a big event and successful, so let's see if it worked. If this adventure I'm cooking here is to solve the whole Krakens don't work as end of campaign encounters, we've gotta understand what a Kraken actually is in D&D and what it does first. So let's take a closer look at these wet boys. Except, I don't wanna get wet. Kraken lore, please, now.
I'm on my beach episode.
Human familiar.
Think about the beach episode, think about the beach episode. Krakens. Krakens in D&D look inconsistent. Within the same edition, Krakens can look like, you know, a squid that fell victim to an inflation fetish, or this, whatever this is. 5e favors this dragon, toad, water-type Venusaur look. And you know what? Good. I like it. I don't know if this really reads as Kraken to anyone, but at least it's distinctive. It says in the Bible, Monster Manual, that Krakens were originally conceived as warriors for the gods. Apparently, the gods were fighting for some reason or another, probably because it was a day of the week ending in Y. And when they were done using Krakens as Pokemon in their little battles, Krakens were left to do whatever, and now are independent contractors for evil. There is a quote that talks about how much Krakens hate gods, but we have like several Krakens that serve them, so do we get more interesting tidbits on this Kraken god lore? No! In the great Pokemon type chart of D&D monsters, Krakens are classified as a monstrosity, which is truly up there with aberration on the what the f ever of creature types. It literally is just the creature type for anything that looks not right, but not quite as messed up as an aberration. So think owlbear and not whatever this is. As to what Krakens spend their time doing other than looking unfortunate, the Monster Manual describes their hobbies in the most metal way possible. They are apparently so powerful that they serve as a sort of great barrier for civilizations. Krakens can apparently literally wipe out life and entire islands by themselves. Underwater societies have gaps in their history because of Krakens crashing the party.
The party don't start till I walk in. Don't start.
They are worshipped as gods by many societies. It literally says that Krakens can stop storms and help the Animal Crossing villagers that worship them to fish or whatever. The only reason any society or community or anything is able to flourish in or around water at all is that Krakens are prone to extremely EP syndrome, like the Tarrasque, and just like to take centuries-long naps. This is a lot of power. They truly must be the most powerful thing ever. Literally nobody could ever hope to defeat these guys. Anyway, this might come as a surprise to you if you don't spend your time reading monster manuals for fun, like I have to do. But all this talk about destruction and carnage and Godzilla LARPing might make you think that the Kraken is sort of like a Tarask. Extra powerful and extra stupid animals that love when things go boom and collapse to the ground. But they're actually really, really smart. 22 in intelligence, in fact. This means that this is not only a big monster that some people choose to worship because they're scared of it, this is a thing that is aware that people are worshipping it. I found some stuff about the Kraken keeping humanoids around, and yes, these humanoids have to feed it and tend to it when it's Mimir time, so yes. It's another one. It's another intern-keeping monster. Yes. Roll back the counter, guys. Back to 0. Don't get it twisted, though. Even if the Kraken is sometimes nice to those that tell it how cool and awesome and strong it is and rewards them by bringing them dead fish to eat, like a very scary water cat that demands total devotion, a Kraken is still of the big bad meanie alignment, chaotic flavor, so it still just has complete and total destruction on its vision board at all times. Thank you so much, human familiar. May I go back to the beach now, please? Yeah, you can go ahead. It's on theme with Kraken Week. Okay, so that's the lore on Krakens. I didn't want to go too deep into the lore because... Hey, hi. Where are your parents? Hello? Unattended child here? I'm scared of it.
So this is where you went. Dang, this is a nice place. That's a cool audience you got there. Wait, why am I already here? Let me take care of that for you.
Oh, Runesmith. You're doing a video on Krakens too, right?
Yeah, it's a pretty good time. We got bishops, titans, starfish and crabs, nukes in the ocean, all that good stuff. How do I get back?
Oh, just click the eye. I'll put it in the description too.
Okay, cool. I gotta get this little guy to bed anyway.
Bye! This is the third planar paradox I've had to deal with this week. Anyway, we have seen what a Kraken is about, but what is this thing actually capable of? Let's take a look at that stat block. So the first thing you'll notice is that it's a big stat block. Luckily for you, you're supposed to fight this well into the campaign, so you probably have an insane arsenal of magical items to choose from. You know that feeling when your DM describes some weirdly shaped sword with a weirdly shaped handle, and you use detect magic and, yep, it glows. Time to cast Identify and wait at the edge of your seat for the new doggy toy your DM has brought to you. There's nothing quite like that. That feeling of, what could this thing possibly be, right? Well, that's exactly the feeling that Falko's Vault of Wonders is bringing directly to you with its new magic item deck. Okay, y'all, it's 240. Straight up 240 magic items for y'all to use. And they are conveniently sorted in cool themed decks. 11 decks. Stuff like cursed stuff that you shouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole, and yet you do, to literal campaign savers. And guess what? They're in my favorite shape. Cards. Familiar? Show the people the cards. The vibe here is you show the players the art, but not the rules. That's after they cast Identify, so they get to wonder what it could possibly do. It's that good old D&D magic. So if that sounds like a thing you want to capture at your table, the Kickstarter for Falko's Vault of Wonders is live right now, and you can grab these decks of magic items for you or your familiar. And thank you, Dungeon Decks, for sponsoring this video. And now that we're suitably equipped to dig into this Kraken, what does the Kraken's block of stats have in store for us? Well, as I said, this thing has a frankly girthy stat block that takes nearly an entire page on its own. So let's take a look. Its stats are wild, with a 30 to strength, a 25 to con, and a 22 to intelligence. Those are its biggest stats, with its lowest being an 11 on dex. Luckily for the Kraken, dexterity saving throws are not that common. Oh, it's the most common saving throw. Oh no. It's immune to lightning, which is gonna be hard to beat out of the Pokemon brain players, just like it's hard to beat out of the JRPG enjoyers that not all undead are weak to radiant damage, and it can be...
I was petrified.
Fun tidbit here, this 22 in intelligence wrinkly brain king can't speak or understand common, so have fun talking to it as it gurgles at you in Abyssal. The frog joke from earlier comes back as foreshadowing with the amphibious trait, which means you cannot kill it by simply dropping it on dry land because it can breathe air, although I'm sure it's not good for its skin. It also has freedom of movement, which means that it can be restrained by magical means, so no bondage sessions allowed, you freaks. It also ignores difficult terrain, which I thought would be a problem, since if you have this thing moving on land, it'd be cool to make it difficult terrain, but its movement speed is 20 feet. So, not much of a problem. It also has a trait Siege Monster, which means it's really good at attacking things like houses or other structures, Godzilla style. Which is interesting, Curious even. I mean, this thing is here so it can sink ships, but you know, it's interesting to me. In terms of actions, it's a lot of tentacles. Not like that, you sickos. Its big boy attack is biting, which deals 3d8 plus 10 piercing damage if the creature is large or small. Ooh. It's instantly grappled and void. This video is a minefield of things I should not be saying. I'm supposed to be the organizer and co-creator of this event, and this is how I'm supposed to convince people to take part in it. Okay. While in Lugia's stomach alone, you take 12d6 acid damage. That's a lot. Other than this, it's just tentacles all over. Stop it. Stop making it weird. The Kraken can also fling anything it's grappling with its tentacles. Stop it! This does do damage, but it's also very funny. Like, it's a funny visual. Like, it's playing with Barbies. You might think, wow, this thing is just like a Tarrasque. Anything at range obliterates it. And no, actually, they did give it a ranged attack. Lightning Storm. An actual magical attack. Guess that 22 intelligence wasn't there just to not bother learning Common as a language. It's admittedly way less impressive at 4d10 damage, but at least it can hit things at range. The true meat of this stat block is, weirdly enough, outside of the stat block. Its legendary actions would be nothing to write home about except for one, it can attack times 2 the squeak wall, or make an ink cloud.
Oh, you guys made me eat.
This is actually extremely strong because it not only blinds all creatures that are sitting in the Kraken's little accident, but it also damages them with 3d10 poison damage? What's in that ink? Anyway, this combo is great with the blindside perk that lets the Kraken see through the accident cloud, so fighting this thing underwater is gonna be rough. My absolutely favorite part of the stat block is a feature that basically no stat block gets, called regional effects. The Kraken is meant to be such a badass that it can literally affect the world around it. It can alter weather in a 6-mile radius of itself, making it so it can summon a thematically and aesthetically appropriate storm as you find it, and completely ruin the tropical vacation of whoever is in the vicinity. It can also just summon water elementals to its side, like ads, MMORPG boss style. And get this, every aquatic creature that has an intelligence score of 2 or less is charmed and ready to throw hands for the Kraken with anybody. Take that, Aquaman. Okay, that's a whole lot of stat block. It's so much. It's probably the most powerful thing we've covered on this channel. And yet, it is widely agreed upon that Krakens are just massive pushovers when it comes to D&D Titans. Like, dreadfully easy to take care of. Not final boss material at all. Why? Well, that's why we're making a video about, and that's what we're making the longest twist in Pointy Hat history about. So let's get into it. So here's the problem, or problems, with Krakens. They are strong, but not strong enough when you are supposed to use them. A Kraken is a CR 23 creature, and has a little Titan title right next to its size. The DMG says that Titans are monsters that are direct creations of gods. Don't ask how that is different from literally anything else, just we gotta move on. We're making a whole adventure for this, and I'm planning the whole Kraken Week thing along with Ginny. This was a lot, we gotta keep it moving. Anyway, besides that weird bit of lore, Titan monsters usually are reserved for end of campaign things, because Titans are the Kraken, but also stuff like the Astral Dreadnought and, you know, D&D Godzilla. But if you float around the D&D space for long enough, you'll come to find out that despite these Titan things having stat blocks designed for big final boss fights, they can end up being quite pushovers once you actually get into combat with them, and your party can manage to bang their 2 collective brain cells together to produce a spark. The problem is, much like my talent, multifaceted and complex. The first problem is the level at which people are fighting these things. CR 23 means that, if I got my CR calculations right, because boy do I love the CR system, it's so intuitive and easy to understand. Anyway, a party of 4 level 17s will have a deadly encounter with this thing. And here's the thing, if that level 17 party knows what they're doing, they'll most likely clear this. The higher in levels it goes, the more of a cakewalk this fight will be, because PCs at this point are basically demigods, and balancing for this level of power is something that is basically impossible, because it requires tuning at the individual party level. The M's running games above, say, level 15, are basically balancing for their specific party at that point. Or rather, they have to do that if they want any challenge. And CR completely loses all of its meaning at that point, if they want to more or less know if an encounter works or doesn't for their table. People making books for everyone playing D&D cannot do that, which means that vanilla big bad end of campaign monsters like the Kraken here end up being extremely easy to deal with, because they're done for an average party, or rather, a below average party, because they're from a book that anyone can use. You get it. The second problem is that these things are used as campaign big bosses, which means that the party has had like a good half of the campaign to think about how they would go about defeating it exactly. Maybe finding info as to how the monster works, its abilities, its weaknesses, if your players are good boys that eat their bed and go to vegetables on time, and if you're DMing correctly, you're not dropping the big bad final fight with absolutely no context in front of them. This means that a party can, and often does, prepare for that final fight, which makes it easier and contributes to the Kraken one-hit KO headshot 360 no-scope problem. The third problem is that, well, it's just a stat block. That's what it is. It's that. Yay. The Kraken is actually a high-achieving student in the class of disappointing final boss encounters in that it brings regional effects to the table. And these are cool. Like, it's cool that it can talk to fishies and convince them that you're the devil and should be exterminated. And it's cool that it can stop you from taking beach pictures by summoning a storm. But this is not what is gonna swing a fight. Regional effects are things you add on top of a tailor-made encounter. Not the thing you use to create a, please forgive the word, epic encounter. So epic, dude. Epic for the win.
So epic, dude.
For the lols, can I has cheeseburger?
Ruffle copter.
Epic adulting.
On fleek.
It's lit.
So not basic.
Epic win. Stop making fun of me, I'm not old. And finally, a bonus problem, because apparently I'm not done beating this squid into a pulp and it needed an extra ration of this is why you suck. How often are you using this? Yes, we all have an idea of what a Kraken fight looks like because we have seen movies, but how often are you using a CR23 thing at the table? Not much, right? Most of you, never. Could that be because most campaigns don't go past level 10? Or at least not much past it? And throwing a Kraken as is at a level 10 party is a fantastic way to end the campaign right then and there? Yeah, which means the Kraken just doesn't get used, and when it actually does, people tend to wipe the seafloor with them. Great. Okay, so that's a lot of problems. Whenever I design something, I like to have a clear picture of what I'm trying to accomplish and what I'm trying to fix. So it seems like first, we're having a level problem where PCs high level enough to fight Krakens are destroying them because at that point they are so powerful they basically need tailor-made encounters for them. We also have a problem of basically nobody playing at those levels, and we have the problem of them being able to prep for the fight, trivializing it. Alright, we have our goals set up for us. So how about we make a whole free adventure for Kraken Week all about fighting a Kraken, but giving it a twist like only we know how to do it at Pointy Industries. Last time I did this for the Feywild, I spelled out the entire adventure in the video, which means that the players that saw it got spoiled for everything in it, and that DMs were praying that their players wouldn't find the video before the DM could run the adventure. And also the DM wouldn't share the video, and that certainly helps if I'm gonna keep making free adventures. Cough, cough, please do that. It was a lot of work. I would really appreciate it.
I am begging you from my soul.
So don't worry, we're not spoiling much here at all. Alright, let's go. Welcome to Storm Rising, a Pointy Hat Kraken Week adventure. Here's the setup. Our heroes have been contacted by a certain Princess Lua, princess of a town called Cape Coral. This is a very important character for this adventure, like a big deal. Who can I bother about helping me with this? The human familiars on the beach episode. Ugh, I hate when humans have to rest. Oh, wait, I'll just ask my co-conspirator. Hello, Mistress D.
Hello, Hat.
This Kraken Week plan of ours seems to be going swimmingly.
Yes, many have rallied under the banner of the Kraken. It'll be smooth sailing from here.
Verily, Kraken Week is sure to make waves on the community.
Indeed, all are sure to have a whale of a good time with this little scheme of ours.
Yes. Something full mast. Look, Ginny, can you help me come up with this NPC I need for my adventure for the Kraken Week thing? I don't want to do it.
Yeah, sure. I am known for making women. How about this? I'll make you a princess, and you make me a weird mermaid for my video.
Deal. Take it away.
Hello, Hatters? Is that what he calls you? Whatever. I am Ginny D, professional woman maker. I have made countless women, and I'm about to make one more. As the Hat said, Lua is a very important NPC in the adventure, so we gotta make her interesting. Her deal is that she's the princess of Cape Coral, sure, but let's make that more fun. What if she's known as the bastard princess? Let's say that her father, the previous king of Cape Coral, was an awful, tyrannical leader who never went to bed on time and never ate his vegetables, and also completely subjugated the populace with taxation, torture, and neglect. He was so bad that the town revolted against the king, and the rebels took Princess Lua, the bastard daughter of the king that he was rumored to have abused and neglected just as much as the people of Cape Coral, as a sort of figurehead of the revolution. The people succeeded, yay, and now the town of Cape Coral is ruled by a democratically elected council, of which Princess Lua is sort of an honorary member, on account of her being, like, basically the flag for the revolution. She was their brand ambassador. And all was well in Cape Coral. Until? Come on, I'm not gonna make the whole adventure for you.
Fine. Until the Kraken attacked. Exactly. For 2 years now, the town of Cape Coral has been attacked by a Kraken that emerges from the deep and they siege to the town. This has happened on the exact same day for 2 years in a row now. And Princess Lua contacts the party because so many people have fled Cape Coral that she needs help defending it. Does that work?
Yeah, that sounds good. And for characterization, I think the party meets Lua and they see her as someone that is particularly determined. She looks like a princess, but she acts almost like a general. She's polite and calm, but she's also very no-nonsense. And she is extremely committed to the party saving the people of Cape Coral. She doesn't seem to care for the town itself, like the buildings and structures. She specifically asks that they focus on bringing down the Kraken before it claims lives, not before it destroys the town. I think making her a half-orc but still making her very princessy and frilly in her dress works really well to convey the idea that this is a princess who was never meant to take the throne, and yet she's ruling the town now. As a matter of fact, let me cook for a second here.
Oh my god, you guys, she's doing the thing.
The people of Cape Coral in their current state cannot withstand another attack from the Kraken. It has happened the same day for 2 years now. It will happen again. I ask you, no, I beg you, please help me. Help the people of Cape Coral.
Okay, I feel very inspired. I'll go do the Selkie race on your channel as soon as I'm done with this adventure thing. We have our introduction, we have our quest, we have our key character. Let's save Cape Coral. So how is this actually gonna work? Well, this adventure has 2 phases. It actually has 3, but shh, that's a spoiler, we'll get to that. The first one is planning. The heroes have 2 days and a morning to prepare for the Kraken attack, before it attacks at noon on the 3rd day. Every action they take consumes time, as in, it takes up their morning, afternoon, or night. What actions, you ask? Well, convincing the different factions of Cape Coral to help them in the Kraken attack. That's right, baby, this is a non-linear adventure. The first one I did, Time for Pleasantries, was a super linear dungeon run. But for Storm Rising here, I'm going full weird non-linear player choice driven, baby, which is also so much harder to write. Why do I keep doing this to myself? The heroes have a limited time and a bunch of factions they can try to convince to help. Some of these are bought in already, like the Armada of Cape Coral, led by Captain Rita. But others need, you know, some incentives. They could use some of their time to convince Aurum, the pirate captain of the Golden Carvers. They are extremely mercenary and cool as shit, and their whole thing is gold and blood. Aurum got to be the captain of the Golden Carvers by vanquishing the former captain, who was also, incidentally, Aurum's former lover. And now Aurum has made the Golden Carvers the richest pirate band in the entire Coral Coast. They're also a blood thief, my own rogue subclass, a practitioner of blood magic, and they live up to the name of Aurum by only caring about gold, which means they only invest in 100% safe investments. So you have to prove yourselves and your stupid Kraken fighting plan to be a safe investment for Aurum. But what if pirates are not your thing? Well, what about convincing the kindred of Selkies to help you? That's right, seal mermaids, or people, rather. Their leader atop a rock looks like this, which I'm sure is enough to convince some of you to talk to him. His name is like that because this kindred of Selkies names their children based on where they were spawned. Isn't that right? Under the coral, beneath the kelp, and Waffle House parking lot. The Selkies have a symbiotic relationship with the town of Cape Coral for ages, helping to direct fish towards the town's nets in exchange for a part of the daily catch and a whole section of beach to the kindred. But now that the rule has changed, nobody in Cape Coral has gotten around to convincing the Selkies to keep working together. So that's why that's your job now. How do you convince these two? With combat. Atapa Rock is proud and honorable, and Aurum is not that at all, but they both want to test your mettle. Atapa Rock wants to see if you're a worthy ally in the fight against the Kraken in a fair fight, whereas Aurum has never cared about a fair fight a single day in their life, and just wants to see if you're competent enough in combat so that you won't get them and their crew killed in this Kraken thing. Oh, and they also want whatever remains of the Kraken to sell it off as spell components to magic practitioners. Have fun dealing with that. But not everyone in Cape Coral can be convinced with combat. If you want to convince Mama Magda, the leader of the fishing guild, who is this woman who is basically the mom of the entire town, you will have to literally go to the bottom of the ocean to gather a material strong enough to strengthen her nets so that they can stop the Kraken. An underwater expedition. If you want to convince Raiko, the famed whale hunter who lost everyone he loved during the first Kraken attack, to help you in this third Kraken attack, you will have to prove to him that you're capable enough by hunting a legendary whale he's been trying to hunt. If you want to convince the creepy, spooky, disgusting worshippers of totally not Umberly, we swear, you'll have to endure the trial of the drowned goddess. If you want to convince more of the people of Cape Coral to leave town until the Kraken attack is over instead of getting themselves killed because they will 100% die since their plan is to fight the Kraken to protect their town, you will have to convince them to leave their houses and abandon the city they literally started a revolution over with a speech. Have fun with that. And if you want to help Mariano, the royal librarian, you will have to just help him research. He believes there's a reason why the Kraken is attacking the town of Cape Coral on the same day every year. Princess Lua, however, tells you not to bother.
We've no time to waste. Mariano has been loyal to Cape Coral for longer than most of us have been alive, but he's been searching for an explanation for the Kraken attacks for 2 years, and he's found nothing. We don't have time to indulge his theories anymore. We need to act, and fast.
All these NPCs have quests you can choose to take on during the planning phase of Storm Rising. Yes, every single one has a quest to bring them to your side, and their own motivations and reasons to help or not to help. Even if you decide to risk exhaustion to work through the night on these quests, there is no way you can complete all of them. But what happens if you do convince them? Well, they will help you fight the Kraken, and might literally die trying. But how? Well, that's what the next phase of this massive free adventure is all about. As I said, the planning phase was just phase 1 of Storm Rising. You have made your choices, managed to convince whoever you managed to convince to defeat the Kraken, and now it's time for the siege. Remember all those problems we brought up about the Kraken in the first part of the video? This is where we fix them. Storm Rising is an adventure for level 8 players, which is on the high end of what people actually play in D&D, much easier than a level 17 encounter for you to actually use. So we got that out of the way. But how do we make it an exciting, unique fight that is challenging and plays in a completely different way from most encounters? Well, we already incorporated planning into the adventure, and now we get to use siege rules. That's right, a brand new system for fighting a thing literally so big that it can destroy cities. You can use siege rules for this or any other massive fight, even against a massive army. In Storm Rising, the Kraken is so massive, so powerful, that it's not something you fight with your dinky +1 or +3 sword and a bunch of spells. You have literally spent an adventure convincing pirates, sulkies, sailors, whale hunters, and dark priests of the deep to help you. And all of that comes to a head in this fight. So this is the rundown on how Pointy Hat's siege rules work. You, the party, is fighting on ground level against the forces conjured up by the Kraken and the Kraken, or rather, its tentacles. That's right, we're taking a page out of every RPG under the sun. The Kraken is so massive that the thing you're interacting as like a person-sized person is some of its tentacles. They have their own HP and moves, and defeating them will affect the Kraken, but the big damage comes from siege actions. That's right, apparently it wasn't enough to make a whole adventure. I added rules. So siege actions happen on initiative count 20, kinda like lair actions. Imagine you're fighting and the camera pulls back from on the ground combat and gives you an aerial view of the town. All this convincing has given you specific siege actions depending on who you manage to convince to help you, and you get 3 per round. Do you know who also gets 3 siege actions per round? The Kraken! The Kraken's goal is to reduce the town's HP bar to 0, whereas your goal is to defeat the Kraken, or survive it. Dealing damage to its tentacles on the normal combat will affect what the Kraken can do, and it can do a lot. I'm talking massive lightning ray, destroying everything with its slam attacks, more magic stuff. It needs to feel like Godzilla. To attack something like this, to stop, or if you can even manage, deal enough damage so that it retreats, you get your own siege actions. Captain Rita and Oram deal direct damage to the Kraken with their ships, whereas atop a rock and his Selkie kindred sing a song of the deep that messes with the Kraken's actions. Other factions like Mama Magda, the fishing guild leader, and Raiko, the whale hunter, can incapacitate a specific action from the Kraken, disabling that action for 1 turn. Every character you recruit during the first phase gives you a unique siege action that they can do at initiative count 20, while for the rest of the round, it's your good old normal D&D combat round against the forces of the Kraken and its tentacles. Okay, pause. Come on, you gotta admit that sounds sick. I mean, it's at least sick to me. Imagine that fight. Your goal here is to withstand the siege. The Kraken will deal damage to the town with its siege actions and, regrettably, to its people. Depending on how much damage it has dealt, more people will die. And guess what? The adventure has a system to figure out if any named characters die in one of the Kraken's siege actions. That's right, those people that you've spent time getting to know, befriending, they can die in this fight. And those are potentially super important pieces to your siege strategy, sunk under the waves to a Kraken attack. Imagine the drama. The stakes are high mechanically and narratively, because these are people that you've gotten to know and base a strategy around. Doesn't that make the combat feel that much more real? Like a real siege against a town that is fighting back to keep on living. But then how do you win? Well, that's the thing. If you manage to inflict enough damage to the Kraken, you can finally get it to retreat. Yes, that's the victory here. A victory against a thing like this when you're at level 8 is to get it to back off. That is already a massive victory. It's another thing that makes it feel massive, feel momentous, feel different from a normal D&D fight. Siege rules take this normal D&D battle and elevate it, but your victory is cleverness, is preparing for a combat you cannot win and withstanding it long enough so that you can save a town. It's also perfect as an introduction to this monster, making it something you can bring back and maybe actually kill later. But is that the end? Is that all there is to Storm Rising? Why does the Kraken come back every year to attack this poor town?
Why?
That's not a thing that Krakens do. They are agents of evil, yes, but they're also agents of chaos. What has this poor town done to deserve such a fate? What if Mariano, the royal librarian, was right? What if there's something else to this? What if you can put an end to this cycle? Why is Princess Lua so intent on you not helping Mariano in his research? Well, what if I told you that Storm Rising, this adventure I've been cooking for Kraken Week, has another secret act that you can access depending on your choices? What if I told you that this act answers every question and gives you a completely different end to Storm Rising? What if I told you it gave several different endings? What if I told you that it had completely new combat, exploration, and roleplay encounters that are literally built only for this act? You really thought that me and Ginny made this whole Kraken Week thing and I made an entire adventure just so she could write the main NPC?
Oh, I did much more than that.
Well, what if I told you that all of those are true? And Storm Rising, the adventure I created for Kraken Week for this event I've been preparing along with Ginny for months, who I collabed with on her own Kraken Week video to make a Selkie race, is in the description of this very video for 100% certified Pointy hat free. 10 unique stat blocks, 9 custom-made encounters, non-linear progression, player choice-driven, 65 pages, and it's for free! Kraken Week has been such a labor of love from Ginny and I have to thank every creator that we reached out to, read this crazy idea of ours, and said, I'm game, I'll make a weird little sea-smelly video. There are so many creators participating in Kraken Week, and it's insane to me. You know about Ginny and I, but what about the Runesmith? You know about him too, because I talked about him before, but D&D shorts, Trend Monk, one-shot questers, they're like 20 more. So I'm putting the Kraken Week playlist with every Kraken Week video right above the link to the adventure Storm Rising. Real talk here, I'm still so new to the YouTube TTRPG space thing, and I cannot believe I got to actually organize something like this with Ginny. I wanted to do it to say thank you to the community that I love and that has given me so much, because I certainly would not be able to do this without y'all. Like you, the guys watching this. I paid the artists that helped me with the art for this free adventure thanks to y'all after losing my job and all. So I hope you like Storm Rising. I hope you play it. I hope you like Kraken Week. I hope you check out everyone involved, and once again, thank you so much for being there for me. Real talk, I'm sitting here with a 40 degrees Celsius fever, figured out in Fahrenheit, so I want nothing more than to be done. But Kraken Week needs to come out. I put too much work in this, so like and subscribe, like and subscribe. And now, one big wet kiss for the road. Thank you so much, you guys. Mwah.